Welcome, everybody, to the Equipped Agronomy Podcast, where we bridge the gap between seeding equipment and agronomy. And this is presented to you by Bourgault Industries. My name's Curtis DeGoyer, and I have with me Mr. Jeff Strukoff.
Hello, hello.
We're from the agronomy team here at Bourgault. Today, Jeff, we're going to do a little bit of maybe a little different show. Call it a show. Recording here of kind of what we've been hearing at the shows. We're fresh back from Manitoba. Manitoba Ag Days. Week before that was Crop Production Show in Saskatoon. And was it back in October? Was
November, yep.
November, right. Was Red Deer. I was at that one.
Yeah.
I guess I should know when I was there.
Yeah.
But we thought, you know what, maybe we'll go through some of questions that we get at the shows. Because a lot of times if somebody has a question, there's other people out there who also have that question. And then it kind of opens it up to us for discussion on some certain topics. So I think that's where we're going to go from. That's where we're going to start.
There was definitely some common trends between the shows, and we kind of agreed in advance that we were going to kind of take a mental note of questions that we got, and we were going to actually discuss some of these things on one of the podcasts. So today's the day.
Yeah, because a lot of our stuff always comes from these shows, right? A lot of the agronomy topics, the questions, and then what we do in our trials.
Yeah, trial suggestions and different things like that. We actually do listen and take that to heart. So
yeah. Well, let's just get right into it then. Number one question at the show.
Number one question. Didn't matter whether it was you or I.
Didn't matter. We'll say in these last two shows. We'll leave out Red Deer at the moment. But
yeah. Last two for shows. Sure. Yeah. I would say number one question is, so what's going to be different now that you guys got bought by Linamar? Bar none, pretty much every conversation that I had in, both Crop Production Show and in Manitoba at the Ag Days was that specific question. So
very legitimate question. Yeah. Very important question, I guess, right? And so what's your answer?
You know what? In all honesty, we're both going through this right now at the same time, and I think we could both agree that nothing has really changed. Like nothing.
No.
If there is anything that may change in the future, it's the only thing is positive. Like it's all positive. So I don't know. I think it's going to be really good going forward. I'm happy for Jerry. He, had the opportunity of actually fulfilling his wish where he could actually sell the company and actually keep it in the town where it belongs, in my opinion. There's lots of other possible suitors, I believe, that would love to have bought Bourgault Industries, but the first thing they would like to do is to move it to another location. And Jerry's a community guy, and he understood that, there's a lot of people that are employed here that would, it wouldn't be the same without this business in town, because there is an awful lot of people that are employed at our industry. So
let's back it up for just 1 second there. Actually, Linamar bought Bourgault Industries, right?
Linamar is the new owner.
Who is Linamar? Linamar got their roots in Ontario in car part manufacturing, essentially.
Started the business in their basement.
In the basement. Frank, what's his last name?
Can't remember.
Hassenfrost.
Yeah. Basically started manufacturing auto parts in his basement and grew it into a multi-billion-dollar company. Yeah. So very successful.
So in recent purchases, Linamar also owns MacDon Industries. That was in 2017 or 2018, somewhere around there. And then in 2022, Salford. Yeah. The Salford Manufacturing or whatever you want to call equipment.
And maybe not ag related, they also own Skyjack, which is a very prominent brand out in the lift industry.
I think they do like $8 billion in sales now, Linamar. Publicly traded company too, right? But you're right. I think what they do is buy good companies, not fixer-uppers, right? They're going to buy a good company.
With good brand awareness.
Good brand awareness. So not going to change the name Bourgault. No. That was another good question. Bourgault stays the same. Yep. A couple other things. Bourgault also owned Highline Manufacturing and Freeform, which was included in the sale as well. So it's still under Bourgault, which is now under Linamar. Yeah. So again, like you said, factory, everything's staying in St. Brew. Town here of about 500 people, right? And this factories, buildings has 750 people employed. So a fairly major contributor to the economy here. So, Frank Bourgault started it up. He wanted jobs for locals, and, Jerry's going to, ensured that that's going to continue on to the future. So yeah, you're right. Me personally, I'm telling people this I'm excited. I think that there's some really cool expertise that Linamar can bring to Bourgault on the manufacturing side, on the purchasing side. I think there's some really cool things. They're obviously very interested in agriculture. Now, with the recent purchases, I think that there's some really cool synergies. Synergies been floating around. Lincoln leveraging. I think there's been some investor talk out there, but Salford, I'm excited. There's a really cool portfolio of equipment they have, and I don't think it'll be too distant future where you'll see some stuff coming from factory with combination of both companies in there.
No, you know what? It was really interesting actually in Brandon, because the gentleman from Salford actually came over to our booth, and actually we had a pretty in-depth conversation about different things that maybe we could collaborate on and things like that. And actually there is a lot of things that I think we should be, going forward, we should be working on. It's going to be good. Really good.
By far the number one question, and good question.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a timely one. And
you know what? In all honesty, maybe once the dust settles down the road here and, a few things are ironed out, we should actually get Jerry on the show.
I think it's a heck of an idea. Yeah. We'll lobby for it.
We'll see if we get like 5 minutes of his time and bring him on here. And put him under the microscope, make him feel nervous. It'll be good.
Oh man, if you can make him sweat, we'll see. Okay, some other questions there. That was obviously on the business side of stuff. I guess another thing too, we have our signature black tank, just to kind of.
Yes, that would be number two. That would be number two question.
Good question.
Yeah.
So we've got a black tank now and blacked out rims on the drill. It's our signature edition for 2025.
50th anniversary edition, commemorating the 50th year. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's like Jerry's signature.
Oh yeah, no.
It's in gold.
Yep.
It's probably worth that. So yeah, I'm kind of looking at it like his sign off. That's his sign off to the company. So it's a limited edition.
Incidentally, when we were driving over here, we actually saw the very, very first black tank coming off the line. So that's kind of neat.
Looks good.
Yeah, it looks really good, actually. Looks mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couple other comments, and I think it's mostly from within there on this podcast. I was just going to bring this up very quickly. You don't sound as bald as you look.
I didn't even know bald had a sound, but that was actually a question. Like, actually, the one guy in Brandon was flipping through the book, and he's like, "Hey, that's you." It's like, you didn't sound bald. Well, how does bald sound? I have no idea.
Can't grow hair, but man, I think you guys can grow crops.
Yeah,
I think so too. So that was a good one.
Yeah.
A couple other quick hitter questions we always get at the shows, just for everybody knows. How big is that? We have the 1300 tank there. How big is it? What is that?
Yeah.
We got a lot of, the shows are interesting. We got a range of people that come through from people who've been using our stuff for years and years and knowing it honestly probably better than we do in some cases.
Yeah.
To folks coming through from town that are trying to understand a little bit more. So we get a wide range of stuff. How much is it? Lots.
Yeah.
Lots is usually the answer there. That was kind of some of the more vague kind of questions. But did you get anything specific, and even specifically into agronomy related?
Actually, I was pleasantly surprised at how many people had already had the opportunity of reading The Cutting Edge, and they went through it, and they wanted to discuss some of the articles that were in there. So it kind of makes you feel like you haven't wasted your time actually writing articles when people actually read them, and it actually provided a really good entryway into a big, long agronomic discussion about several different things. So it was good, actually.
Cutting Edge, for those who don't know, is our publication that Bourgault Industries, sends out, goes out to all the dealerships and then into mailboxes if we have your address. We write in articles in there. Jerry has an address in there, and just kind of on the latest, greatest from Bourgault. So it'll be yearly now. Yearly. We used to do semi. But now it'll just be yearly, annual one. So that's, in that one there, I think the one topic that I maybe would get asked, but then eventually lead into it was our deep phosphorus conversations, right? And I think actually that episode's been released there now, and we were talking about it on deep phos, and so it wasn't necessarily this is what everybody has to do. The conversations I had, like, it was just more, here's maybe an explanation of what happened in a dry year, maybe why you're not getting a response to phosphorus in the seed row, maybe as much as you thought you would. maybe it just dried out, can't get there, right? And I know one particular guy had just purchased he actually just purchased an SPS 360. That's what we did our trials with.
Yeah.
And, he was already, you could see the gears turning in there on how to get a kit on there, and an air kit, maybe another tank. He actually had some interesting ideas too, as far as on that machine, broadcasting in some product right in front of the harrows and the rolling baskets, like some edge and some of that on there too. And he thought that might be an interesting one for actually slough seeding as well. Some canola in those wet years, if we could use that. So I thought that was an interesting concept and thought. And there was some other discussion.
I actually had some really good discussions with current owners of 9500, the 9500 chisel plows that they use for ammonia application, and actually questioning on how much an air kit would cost for that. Because if they're going to be making a pass over the field already, putting ammonia on, maybe we should actually be incorporating some deep FOSS into this mix and multitask.
Absolutely.
Get, as Ricky would say, 2 birds stoned at once. Yeah.
That's our goal here. Yeah. But it's great. The conversations, right? Okay, well, that leads to this, to, okay. Yeah, exactly. How can we do more things at once with it, especially if you're doing a Passover?
Yeah.
I had, we talk about it a lot, because we've done a lot of research on it. We're confident in splitting FOSS, right? I had a couple more questions. Guys are, still like, well, I don't know. And, so you just go through it a little bit and say, we've got the research on it. We know it works. And now splitting FOSS, putting some FOSS in the banders, so putting some in the seed row, rest in the banders. Maybe it's not because there's 2 feeding sites. Maybe it's that deep phosphorus, a little bit deeper in the bander, and we're getting
putting
access.
It in moisture soil and having later access to FOSS because the soil is moist in that area.
Yeah,
like, I think there's something to it.
Yeah,
yeah.
I had a couple more questions on max nitrogen in the sideband and the sideband placement. Guys were interested in what we're seeing, right? Where we felt the rates are going to perhaps hurt them. And that leads into a lot of discussion on their soil type and moisture. And, there's always a lot of, trying to dig in a little bit more on some of those conversations, right? So you can't just do a blanket here. It's 100 pounds. If you're over that, you're going to kill your crop. It's a lot of...
It was interesting being in Brandon and having that exact same question that you're talking about there, but there was actually some work that was done at... I'm not sure if it was through University of Manitoba, but it was done in Brandon, where they were working with sensitive crops and sensitivity with putting nitrogen fertilizer in sidebands. So just being in Brandon at the show and actually being able to tell them that there was work done here already.
Yeah.
And you can actually look that up yourself if you want. And it's not just us that's saying this. There's other, PhD researchers that are actually finding the same thing. So,
and that being just, if we get too much close, right?
Yeah.
And of course that leads into, we'll go over and then chat on our Paralink dual shank, so the PLDS opener, and that we can move it over, right?
Yeah.
And that's why, it seems like I'm asking leading questions and leading into this stuff, but honestly, that's how those questions started. And we didn't have a dual knife opener before.
No.
But we also hadn't maybe thought about, I should say, when we were thinking about a dual knife, to those questions, what happens if we moved it over, right? How does that affect it? And that's what we got, right? And so we can show guys that. And actually, I get a lot of positive responses, not just from, not Bourgault guys, but like, we got Seed Hawk guys, Seed Master guys, like, oh, that's cool. You can move that away a little bit to, safeten it up a little bit.
Yep.
So I thought that was neat. I mean, we always have all of our openers there at the stands too. So I know I get lots of questions on, how does our 2-to-1 opener versus our 1-to-1, the Paralink single versus the Paralink extreme opener, how do they differ? Why would I buy one over the other?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I think we're going to get into that maybe in an episode at some point.
I did have one, just sorry, while we're on the topic there, dual shoot opener on a single knife drill to accommodate a Tri-Max tank.
Oh yeah.
There was a lot of people that were interested in converting an existing drill over to so you could actually have a Tri-Max tank hooked up with a PLDS opener, but putting another air kit on and actually...
They're thinking about putting another air kit?
Yeah, trying to get the triple shoot concept going with an existing drill.
Yeah.
So
which we've done.
We've done that.
And we offer, and we've got there's a handful of them out there for sure.
Yep.
some advantages to that one.
Yeah, there's some guys that were concerned about straw clearance with a dual knife, and well, here's you could use this triple shoot concept with an existing and not have to worry quite so much about straw clearance.
Well, I'll ask you another question there then.
Lay it on me.
Well, focus more in Manitoba. I wasn't there.
Yeah.
We know that's a heavier disc region.
Yes.
Right. And we do have two different types of disc openers. So how did you have A, questions on that, and B, in general, what was that on the disc side of stuff over there?
Definitely more like Southern Manitoba, definitely more of a disc drill market. Right. There's quite a few existing disc drill owners out there. We went through the displays are all there for different openers, whether it's the Paralink Row or if it's the PLW disc drill opener. Pros and cons between the two. I don't know. I think there's going to be a few things that are going to be addressed here coming up, maybe, possibly. I'm not sure if we're supposed to talk about stuff like that. But when it comes to changing depth, that's the number one complaint. Whether it doesn't matter if it's our drill or a John Deere disc drill or whatever, but changing the depth on those drills can be a little bit of an issue. Some guys are a little bit bigger, and it's not that easy just to get into the inside of the frame to change the depth. But I'd throw that out there as maybe a teaser as to maybe there's going to be some easier ways to change the depth on a disc drill.
Quicker depth adjustment on a 3720, perhaps?
Go figure.
That'd be really good.
Yeah, no, I think that's actually be a game changer, actually.
The things, and I don't have a lot of experience with disc drills in general. I've used them a little bit. But the one thing I hear on that 3720, so that's the Paralink walking, on that drill, or actually I should say the Paralink Row. Sorry, that's the walking, the row unit. Yeah. Paralink Row. It's very close to a John Deere opener, right?
But it's better.
But it's beefed up. And I'm just looking at it, and that's the feedback we get from that one too. So I think that's definitely something that I kind of talk about. And we can bring a guy over and they're like, that looks similar, but here's some.
I actually learned quite a bit from existing owners of disc drills where there has been some existing owners of the row opener that have switched over to a 3720 or the PLW opener. If they're predominantly in a muddier soil condition, they would prefer one over the other. But I didn't know any of that stuff. I don't have a lot of experience with the disc drills other than it's really hard to beat the placement, the seat placement with either one of them is fantastic. But some guys have preference one over the other.
Well, I mean, hoe drills in general, you don't get the what's it called there? Hairpinning. Hairpinning in there. So that's why a lot of times guys go to hoe drills in general. I guess keeping on with comparisons against John Deere, the Conserva pack there, and I don't know if they're still offering the Conserva pack, but holy man, in Red Deer, was I getting guys coming up like crazy asking about our dual knife opener. And what did you run before? Conserva pack. And I don't know if they're not offering that size anymore, or maybe they're not offering it at all anymore. So I thought that was a really interesting. It was just stunning how many Conserva pack guys were coming up. But yeah, other than that, there's some questions on augers and the different openers. I mean, a lot of good conversation in general. I hope you got some things. I know I got some trial ideas perhaps on it there. Some more deep Foss, maybe, like we said, winter canola, some biological stuff. That's starting to get asked a little bit more. But I think with that, though, we'll stop it there.
Yep.
And, the next show's coming up. I guess I'm going down to Lethbridge. That show's newer building there, so it could be interesting. So, we'll hopefully get some more conversation. And feel free to call in or ask for me or Jeff, or find us on Twitter. And, that's where I'm going to end that conversation. Okay. That's good with you. So tune into the next episode, and we'll continue our chat on agronomics of equipment, and we'll get you growing.
Until then, stay warm, my bold friend.
Nice too.
Later.